Mortgage Coach community, and welcome to another Tuesday interview at Mortgage Coach. I do want to remind everybody that every single day of the week we are doing live training. Mondays is Introduction to Mortgage Coach. Tuesday is where I'm interviewing not just someone amazing, sometimes multiple people that I think are important to the community of Mortgage Coach. Every Wednesdays it's about being a mobile expert, being able to teach, sell, educate families with mobile devices. Thursdays are Q&A. Wednesdays and Fridays are demos, and every single day we have Mortgage Coach University. So today is the Tuesday interview. I do want to remind everybody that you should have all of our Mortgage Coach mobile apps downloaded, Mortgage Coach Total Cost Analysis, Rate Watch, and our newest app for realtors, My Nest. For those of you that don't know what My Nest is, stay tuned, more to come on that, but it's a free app for home buyers and realtors that they're using right now. So what makes this community special is that you're either among the most successful loan officers in the country, because 34% are on the Mortgage Coach team, or you are striving to become one of the most successful loan officers in America. So we've got a really cool interview today. To help me with this interview, I have asked Kristin Messerli to join me. Kristin, welcome to the call.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, I have interviewed Kristin a lot of times now, and this quote, transparency beats honesty, Kristin, I still so love that quote because it's so true. You can have amazing integrity, be as honest as can be, but if the other people don't see it, feel it, and have the transparency, it doesn't help. So great quote, Kristin.
Yeah, it's a perfect quote for this call too, reflective of how Wally and Shane perform their business and, of course, the Mortgage Coach community.
Right on. And I'm going to do a more formal interview in a minute, but I brought Wally into the call. We had a couple amazing interviews last year, Wally. Really looking forward to this, especially bringing your right-hand man, Shane, into the call. So welcome, Wally and Shane.
Yeah, it's very blessed, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you both for having us.
Yeah, no problem, guys. So give me 2 minutes to just, I want to remind folks of some things that we've done this month, and then we will get into the interview. My first reminder comes from the interview I did with Darren Hardy to kick off the new year. If you missed this call, I will put a link to the recording in chat before the party is over. We did something what I thought was super cool and amazing. I hired Muddy to create a visual summary. So during this interview, real live, interactive, we actually showed a video of him creating this. We documented all the takeaways. And so I just think, if you were on this call, great. I would just ask you, what were your takeaways? Are you implementing them? And by the way, what evidence is there in your business that you're implementing them? I want this call that we did with Darren not to just be an hour of entertainment that you're like, oh, that was a great call. I got some great ideas. I want it to be a call where it's like, I'm implementing some ideas that are improving my business. I was super grateful for Josh Metal. He listened to the call a couple times. He actually said, here were my big 5 takeaways. And then he did an offsite with his team where they focused on, what were their 3 big goals for 2017? What were the key behaviors to implement those 3 goals? How are they going to track and monitor them daily, weekly, and monthly? Reaffirming that every family gets a total cost analysis and doing it in a way that's exceptional, and then prune the noise. What are we going to stop doing? So this was Josh Metal's takeaway for the Darren Hardy call. 1, I wanted to pass that along to everyone, and 2, I would love to know what your takeaways were. So if you were on that call, share it in chat or share it in the Q&A of GoToWebinar. What were your takeaways? And most importantly, what are you doing to implement? Again, everybody, I will post that in just a minute. Also, I think one of the biggest ideas that was shared in my interview with Robert Stover this month, we did a great call around how to stand apart from your competition in 30 seconds, some amazing scripting, but not just the concept of using the move-up analysis, but Stover had a great idea, is to go out and partner with your real estate agents around the move-up analysis and then send out a move-up analysis to the past clients of that realtor. So, in this particular case, it's Dan Keller creating a video with one of his agents, but partner with agents to drive that move-up conversation where, hey, you're in this current house. What if you moved up? I'm not here to push you into a move up. I'm here to help you make an informed decision and then send that out to your realtors database. So big ideas from Darren Hardy, big idea from Stover, and now it is time for the big interview. Again, I'm really looking forward to this call. Wally's call was one of my 2 favorite interviews of 2016. I think I've told you that, Wally. I thought that first call we did on how to turn leadership into your competitive advantage was pure magic. And since then, you created a follow-up call that was amazing. You interviewed Denise Donahue. You created just a super cool video on how you create videos with Mortgage Coach. So Wally, thank you, my brother, and fired up for the big show.
So, yeah, as you know, I'm like crazy competitive. You said it was one of your two most favorite videos. What was your other one? Like, I'm dying to know.
Jocko Willink was my number 1. And, you know, I mean, the guy, he served our country. He's an amazing story. And, yeah, it was my favorite. Sorry, bro. Number 2.
You know, it was awesome, though, is that Extreme Ownership. That was our book of the month like 2 months ago as our team. We do a monthly book club, and absolutely, I'm very lucky to be like in that category. But yeah, he's a great author, great leader. I remember when I met him at Sales Mastery, like I don't know, I think it was like maybe, gosh, 3-4 years or so ago. I mean, his hand like just swallowed my hand. But yeah, he's a big dude, but just crazy, awesome leader. So absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but again, amazing. I had 52 calls last year, and number 2, and you, by the way, you were a lot of people's number 1, and the way you talked about how you coach realtors, how you turn leadership into a competitive weapon, I mean, it was an epic call. I mean, it's going to be one of the best calls of all time forever. So this call's special because you're bringing someone in. You know, I said, hey, I want to interview you again. You wanted to include Shane. You know, I want to see a next generation of mortgage professionals, you know, just thrive in this business. I mean, this is such an amazing business. So why don't we start with you just kind of telling the story. I know you forwarded me over some milestones that you guys have hit together, but tell us a little bit about the story of bringing Shane on the team and the milestones that you've hit, and then we'll get into some ideas and strategies.
Yeah, so I mean, 2012-ish, 2011. I realized that if I wanted to go far, I had to go together. If I wanted to go fast, I can go alone. And I just knew I had more potential. And so I set out to try to hire an assistant, somebody to help me grow my business. And I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but I failed miserably. I mean, I just the poor people that kind of went through that experience with me, and just me trying to learn how to actually have a teammate and trust. And but Shane was brought to my world by one of my referral partners, which is very, very sweet and dear to me. Heidi, if you're listening, love you. And he was referred to me, and I remember the first time I saw his email, like kind of introducing him, like I asked him, I said, did your dad write this letter for you? This email, and we met for breakfast, and it was like a 3-hour breakfast that we sat down together, and he'll kind of fill in some details there. But man, I probably had about 6-7 interviews with this guy, and it was consistently over and over, like, yeah, he's just not the guy. He's just not the guy. He's just not the guy. And my wife and my team repeatedly told me he's got a sparkle in his eye. He's got a sparkle in his eye. You should hire him. You should hire him. He's perfect. And I can't tell you. I mean, I've made some great hires over my career, but definitely Shane by far is one of the top best hires that helped transcend my team. And he's ridiculously strong where I am immensely weak. And we get along so well, and I look up to him in many, many different ways.
So he's immensely strong where you're immensely weak. You know, if you don't mind being as humble, where are you weak and where is he strong? Just quick highlights if you don't mind.
Dude, computers scare me. Most people don't know that. Like, I'm 38. You know, people think 38's young. Like, computer and technology and like mortgage ed stuff, like that stuff just terrifies the bejesus out of me. I just get so intimidated. Like, I had to get an RSA token put on, and it would try 3 days to get it done by myself, and I just had to go to another teammate this morning, Joel. I was like, dude, you got to help me with this. He did it in like 4 seconds. So it's 2017, and Shane is so technology forward, and my model mentally is like a whiteboard. Like it's just mentally throw up on a whiteboard, figure it out, who's doing what where, and Shane comes in with this algorithm SC type of personality, and before I know it, I was trying to train him with sticking out like, hey, write this down, say this next time, or record my conversation. Before I knew it, Shane was creating scripts behind my back of what I was saying where, because he couldn't learn with how I was teaching him, and that's where Team Wally University kind of started the foundation of it, and where he created scripts of what I said where, how I structured my day, how I structured my time block, how I structured my conversations with my real estate teams, and he created he helped create the manual, the 6-month training manual now that's within Team Wally University. And just bottom line, it's I'm so blessed that he's in my world.
Well, Shane, a big thank you from me and the Mortgage Coach team, because I know Wally has created the total cost analysis as a team requirement. This is a quote when I interviewed you last time where you're like, Mortgage Coach is a great way to be ridiculously smart. So I think in some ways, Shane, maybe we wouldn't have you guys as the success story you are today without your role. So Shane, you've been on the team now. It looks like when I asked Wally to provide kind of the milestones in terms of the families that you've served, the production you've done. You joined in 2013, and you can see production has gone up. How do you see this story? And I guess I'll ask the question two ways, Shane. One, why were you so excited to join Wally's team? And then two, just share some of the when you see these milestones as the way you guys have scaled the business together. How does that make you feel? But let's start with, why did you join and get into the mortgage business to begin with?
Yeah, so I pretty much met Wally, is right place, the right time, and apparently I did a really good email, and he talks about it about every other week to this day about how great that email was. I think it got me the job. But, really at the end of the day, I had no direction. I didn't know what I was doing in life, and I think that really summarizes millennials as a whole. It's just a lack of direction, a lack of knowing what to do. We're always told we can do whatever we want to by our parents and just go get it, but we don't really know how to get there. So I came to Wally, actually, thank you for meeting with me, Wally. I actually wanted to be a commercial underwriter. I didn't even really know exactly what that meant, but it sounded like something that I'd really like. And because someone came in my class in college, in one of my finance classes, and talked about how we should do it, trying to recruit us. So after Wally basically talked to me, explained to me what that actually was and gave me more direction on figuring out why I wanted to do that, what was important to me. He helped me self-discover a direction on what I can do, what I could excel at, and where I could actually put my fingerprint on the team. So that was really a big milestone for me, and that was the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of our meeting, because it was the first time that anybody had taken the opportunity to pour into me and give me direction on what I can do to help them, what I can do to make a difference, and what I can do to help grow something special. So that I feel kind of started the whole tune to our relationship from there. And from there, one of the biggest things is Wally's a big fan of leverage, and hiring a millennial that has zero experience and knows nothing about the mortgage industry, let alone how to smell mortgage, doesn't really give off a ton of leverage from the start, and I think that's a lot of the reason for the pushback up front. What really excited me is just the direction, the mentorship, the coaching, the leadership that Wally could bring to me. That he just radiates it when you're around him, and that's made me a lot of who I am today, as not just a mortgage lender, but also as a father, and just as a man, and it's been huge.
That is super cool. Just to hear how you were attracted to leadership, you were attracted to success. I mean, obviously, when you look at these numbers, you guys, you went from 146 families to 189 to 320 when I interviewed you last year, Wally, and 370 last year, and your guys are on pace to help 500 families this year. That's pretty amazing. So Kristin, I'll let you see if you have any questions for Shane before we move on in the conversation here. Anything come to mind on your side?
I just want to add that I think that's a perfect clip of what millennials are looking for, wanting that kind of guidance and wanting to be part of something big and have big impact, and you're willing to invest when you have a good leader. So I have a question for you, Shane. Just what do you think has or made you successful right from the start? Like, obviously you were in a good position mentally and ready to go hard under a great leader, but what was it about his leadership or your track in getting started, having no experience, but being able to kind of get momentum going? What do you think made you successful?
I mean, it goes both ways. What caused me to be successful and us to be successful and the team to be successful on Wally's end and then also on my end. For me, it was simply opening my hand and receiving the feedback and the coaching that Wally could give, and just staying coachable and sticking through it. I mean, we all fail. It's inevitable, right? So whenever I do fail, figure out a way to learn from it, try to put a system in place and move on, and don't let it happen again. And Wally's just understanding from that when I do, again, knowing that, Wally's a bit of a perfectionist, just to say the least. 17 years in the industry, and his name is everything. It's pretty impressive. And in Plano, to mention my mentor as Wally, and people get, realtors get excited. So to have that kind of presence, to have that kind of name, for him to be as patient and understanding when when the inevitable happens and mistakes happen as someone new to the industry, that's huge to me. So.
Yeah. For a lot of people, they don't want to take that time to actually invest in providing the feedback and being patient through that. So, Wally, did it take a lot of time up front in terms of investment, and how did you allocate that time in terms of trying to grow your business, but also knowing that this was important to your growth?
No, I mean, I remember I'm not going to say I was a hothead. There's times that I definitely fly off the handle from time to time, but I remember one time I called Shane. It was like a Thursday or early evening or something, and we needed to order an appraisal during the option period or something along those lines on a contract. And the realtor called me, and it was out after the option period. So what ended up happening, I ended up having to guarantee that I ate the cost. This is like 3 years or so ago. Long story short, I called Shane, and I'm just like ripping into him. I'm like, dude, and he goes, Wally, you've never taught me that. Like, I would never know to check and special provisions of the contract. Long story short, when he said that, that was a turning point for me. And I apologized to him right then and there over the phone. But the biggest thing was, it was a turning point how much he didn't know. So it was stuff that, you think you want to bring in as a turnkey. A lot of people say, hey, I want to hire an assistant. It's going to take me from $20 million to $40 million. Well, probably not, dude. You hire an assistant, it's going to take you $20 million down to 15, back up to 18 million, and probably about 2 years it'll take you to like, 30, 40 million. People don't really necessarily understand how much time it takes to organically. I don't want to say reduplicate myself in someone else, because there's a lot of areas that Shane is a lot better than me in. But to add value to where he can grow the area. So the patience thing came from him mastering a certain level of the foundation, then me seeing that success. Then I started to get kind of addicted to seeing how much I can pour myself into him. And it stopped. It was not even just in the real estate side of things. It was experiences I was going through. My 2 boys, they're now 11 and 9, and just about being a father, being a husband. That it was really important for me to help him have a well-rounded life, not just a well-rounded business.
That's great. I think so many times people don't realize that, like you were saying, the investment does take you down a little bit of a notch before you can go back up. But I hope a lot of people kind of hear and internalize that so that they can grow their business in a similar way.
So one of the things, like in your model, and I know your model well, and folks, we're not doing, like, let's just say a team interview, because we've done a lot of that in the past interviews with Wally. Like, if you really want to understand how he coaches realtors and his leadership model, That was our first interview, and we turned that into a workbook. By the way, it's got all kinds of scripts. I mean, at some point, I might, like right now you can see I'm thumbing through some of the scripts of previous calls that we did. We did make this PowerPoint that I'm going through right now as a handout. So if you want to get these scripts and these things from past calls that I've done with Wally, check it out. Either watch one of the past calls, download the scripts. But one of the things that I think is impressive about what you've done, Wally, is you've got a really high, let's just call it a mission-driven organization, and then you do leverage technology. While technology is not necessarily your friend, you learn how to use technology that you need to, like you know how to pull out your mobile device and tell a story or strategy. You know how to pull out your phone and add a video to it, but you delegate a lot of it. So, I mean, to me, yes, this is a millennial top producer interview, but to me, it doesn't matter whether you're a millennial. It's like you either have to be the person that is both inspirational and a great technologist, or you need to have a team where you do both. So I guess my question is, Wally, how intentional were you about that when you hired Shane? Was it like, I know I need to leverage technology more, so that was something that was really important to your, your production partner? Or was that something you just figured out as you went? If you wouldn't mind speaking to that.
So I would love to say I had a plan, but dude, it was no different than me going to Sales Mastery. Ooh, Shane, look, I found a new toy at Sales Mastery. It's called MortgageCoach. Hey, figure out how to use it and we'll start sending it out. And he's looking at me like I got 4 heads or something. I said, I don't know, dude, Google it. I'm sure there's like videos. So long story short, full transparency, Shane Googles MortgageCoach. Shane figures out the YouTube videos. It used to take him like literally 2 hours to make a mortgage coach. And then I'd make the video, my 2-minute video on it. But now he can knock out an edge in like 10, 15 minutes tops. Most times it's like 7 or 8 minutes. He went in there, created all the templates, and what's pretty neat now is in our team, Wally University, there's a section there for Mortgage Coach that walks you through specifically how to make an edge, which each template is for, where to tweak what buttons where, and the whole thing is directed into a manual. So, but no, I love to take credit from it, but it was, man, I'm going to do what I do best and delegate the rest. Obviously, something I learned from my dear friend Todd Duncan, and I knew technology was not my BFF. So, my 9-year-old helped me set up my computer. But I think that's probably the biggest thing, the biggest change. I would say there's a lot more leverage out there in the world if you don't have to know everything. You just need to know who you need to go get to that knows what you need done. That make any sense?
Yeah, it makes lots of sense. And kudos to you. You had the passion. You were a servant leader. You had the vision to say that, hey, this total cost analysis looks smart. Let's make it a team standard. And then you delegated it. So let's do this in about 10 minutes or so. I want to get a little deeper into how you use Mortgage Coach. And Shane, given that you're the guy that's doing that, I'll ask you some questions on that. But Kristin, I want to pass it back to you. Any questions that you have for Shane or Wally at this point before we get into let's just call it how they're using Mortgage Coach and what strategies they're using. Anything else?
Yeah, my one question I have is just, you guys are building your brand and have built your brand around being a transparent guidance or guide through the process, and but you also are giving back in your community in a lot of ways. And I've noticed from your Facebook page and just different initiatives you have going to partner with Habitat for Humanity or with Team Wally Cares. Could you just talk a little bit about why that's an important factor, like to build your brand as being a good person, not only through the time you take with consumers to give them a total cost analysis and talk through some of that, but also just kind of being active in your community and giving back through like the servant's leadership kind of mentality?
Yeah, the company I'm with, Cornerstone, Mark Laird, is an absolutely huge servant leader himself. And remember a conversation I had with him once, just about servant leadership, and I was just trying to learn more about it. And But candidly, Team Wally Cares came from, as a team leader, we live a very blessed financial life, and usually most teams that I see has one leader and then a bunch of minions around them, and all those minions are there to support that leader. And it's usually John Smith's team. I made sure it was number one priority that it's team then me. I can't do anything that I do without the team. They're more important than me when it comes down to it. So, Nikki, my wife, and I live a very blessed financial life, and we tithe through church. But I was seeing and hearing other teammates that were not able to tithe, they're not able to donate, and then we took our tithing money, created a foundation for it, and back then there was 12 people on my team, and then each teammate got a specific month, and then each teammate got a cause that they believed in. So one month the teammates picked like autistic family or autistic cause, or the medical center for children's, or a family that had cancer, or so. Team Wally Cares donates financially, and we close down the office for a day, and then we go out there and all as a team go give our time and the money to this cause. So it's something that it allows us to give back. We don't really necessarily do it, I don't know if it's good or bad, we don't necessarily do it for the community. It was more for us to feel that, me and Nikki to feel like we knew where our wealth was kind of going, and that it was going to a foundation, and then the team got to donate the money from the foundation. So it was kind of luckily, it just luckily fell in it because, when I see our teammates' faces that they can give this amount of money to a cause that they really care about, that normally through their income couldn't financially to give to that cause. But it's really united the team, and it's every month. It's a super duper important to us. Now we've got T-shirts for Team Wally Cares, but it's something that it's just personal and dear to my heart. But,
that's awesome. That's something that when I talk about how companies can recruit for more millennials, I mean, you're doing this for the right reasons, and that's awesome, but it also is a great way to bring in more millennials, and because they want team culture, they want to be part of something bigger than themselves and have purpose and be, part of something good. So I think that that's a really important factor in addition to all the other things you're doing. And from a consumer perspective, they're looking for the expertise, which you're providing through MortgageCoach, and obviously your own guidance, and then building that trust. And so that's a great way to facilitate that through your brand as well. So Dave, that's the only major question I had. I'm excited to hear about how they're using MortgageCoach, and want to make sure we have enough time for that.
Cool. So before we get into MortgageCoach strategies, I want to know a little bit more about Wally University and what that is all about, because I know when you provided the milestones, you actually called out, last year was the year that it was created, and Shane is a key player within that initiative. So if you wouldn't mind just, highlighting what that initiative is, and then we'll get into MortgageCoach strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think, and Shane said a second ago, I've been in the business 17 years, it's actually 18, but who's counting? But,
you are.
There you go. Duncan said, he asked me once, I think it was a long time ago, he said, I think it was to say 12 years back then, he said, Wally, you've been in the business 12 years, or you've been in the business 1 year 12 times. And fortunately, for the first probably 10, 12 years or so that I was in the business, it was 100% I've been in the business 1 year 12 times. And I can never build a solid foundation in the business. I was always trying to reduplicate myself, and TWU was built to help people that were wanting to build a mortgage business. My one thing focus from it was building a platform where they're able to earn while they learn. Again, earn while they learn. After graduating from Team Wally University, they provided a six-figure opportunity. And it's the mindset behind it is like, if you want to come in, learn how to build a solid foundation in the mortgage business, from lead generation, from understanding guidelines, from understanding program knowledge, and then a lot of people, like I teach my 11-year-old, if you want to do what's right, not what's easy, And a lot of people, go after business that's this low-hanging fruit, and they never build a solid foundation in the mortgage business. So we come in, and there's a 6-month training program that allows them to graduate from being a loan officer assistant, where they master different levels, and they're mastering levels from product knowledge, program knowledge, how to actually convert a lead to an application, how to actually go to an open house, how to provide a successful open house, how to grow a business with a real estate partner, then when they become a production partner, how to manage a database, how to manage a pipeline with a real estate team. And I'm blessed to work with a lot of great real estate professionals here in our marketplace, and I can go help more referral partners if I've got more teammates, but those teammates have to provide a mortgage lending service at the same level and the same standards that I operate in, which becomes our brand. So our brand is what their Team Wally University graduates are showing out there. And I kind of explain that okay, then I want Shane to kind of share his vision.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think you explained it well. I do think, on this call, we have folks that are building teams, so they already have a team and they want to scale the team. We have people on this call that are, kind of like where you were a couple of years ago, where I have one assistant and I'm still figuring out how to scale. And then we have people on this call that are doing, less than 5 or 8 loans a month, and they're just struggling to do successful within their own personal production. So I guess, one, I hope everybody on this call, regardless of whether you have not gotten to that 8 loan a month period where you can really start justifying an assistant, or whether you're scaling your team, or whether you're struggling to have a scalable team, I hope you're getting a lot from this. One, hope you took away that concept that, hey, Wally, when he hired a production as a partner, he brought in Shane. Part of Shane's job was to help build the systems, write down the scripts, learn how to use the technology that powered the requirements. He didn't do it all himself, and I hope you heard that. So I do want to get into the mortgage coach strategies within 5 minutes, but Shane, I would love to get your color around what Team Wally is and how you guys are evolving it, because I just think there's a lot of takeaways, regardless of where your production level is on this call. They could get something from it. What are your thoughts, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, we've built our team on failing forward, and the idea of failing is not a permanent thing, and we want to continually grow from our hiccups and mistakes and failures. So that's really what we've done with all of our scripting. If we lose a buyer because of X happens in the process, and we could have improved because of this, then we put it in the scripts, and we put it from there. And that's really, how we've built our scripts over the 3 years, and gone from someone to so successful as Wally, with 18 years in the business, and taking his knowledge and his perfection of dealing with these situations and turning it into a systemized situation to where, we want to make it to where, at the end of the day, closing a loan itself is not difficult, right? If we have the right company that we're working with, it's not a difficult thing to do, but there's so much more magic to it behind the scenes that we can go into, and that's the difference between, just an average lender or loan officer to a mega LO or mega lender that makes them successful. So really, that's our goal, is to set a good foundation with these. Just like myself, I didn't know how to sell mortgage. I had to watch my processor go through and run DU, and Rose on our team, she was very patient with me, and Judy, and everybody was really great with me. I want to reduplicate my success that's taken me 3 years to do in 1 year and a half, and then maybe a year, and then try to get it down so efficient to where we can get somebody that has the knowledge and success that Wally has poured into me, so that others can do it in 6 months. And that's really ultimately our goal and our vision for Team Wally University. That's what we're striving for there.
Love it, love it. Well, let's get into some mortgage coach strategies. So, Wally, it is a team requirement now. Shane, you forwarded me a couple of total cost analysis. As I mentioned to everybody, we have some scripts. So there are some scripts in here. But Shane, I want to, when we were describing this, be ready for me to call you out and describe some things. So let's start with the rep versus own. because we both align, given that this is a millennial top producer interview, and you said that you use this rent versus own strategy all the time. Why don't you one, tell us what we're looking at here, and then tell us how often you use the rent versus own, and then walk us through this specific strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to point out, before the call we were getting ready, and I was showing Dave the cost analysis that we use on a regular basis, and I felt where you're going with that question, Dave. You asked, how many options do you normally do on these? Because it's a rent versus own. Anyone that's seen them, it's at face value, if you have 4 options up there, it's a lot. I mean, it's some pretty dense information, and it's very powerful. However, if you're not there to walk a buyer through it or have a really good video on there, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming on there. So I wanted to clarify a little bit on my intentions on the cost on the rent versus own total cost analysis. What this is useful for is, let's say I'm at an open house, and I have the price of the actual property on here, and I don't know anything about this buyer. I don't know this buyer from Adam. I don't know what their goals are, their short and long-term goals. They just come up to me, and I see them looking at numbers a little bit too long, just a little bit too long, so I know they're interested. So what this does is this arms me with something to get people's attention from the start, and it gives me a good solid foundation for me to be able to make changes on the fly and really wow this buyer. So I can take this as a template for this specific open house that I'm at. I can quickly pull up my analysis tab on my computer, copy it over. Now I can type in the buyer's name, number, and email in my first client screen as I get to know their goals and customize that for what's important to them. So let's say they're monthly payment driven. So if they're monthly payment driven, then they're probably not going to be too concerned about getting a lender credit for lowest down payment and lowest out of pocket, right?
Right.
So obviously I'm going to cater that presentation for their goals. Flip side, if they're concerned about having enough cash to closing, I can also take out maybe those 2 lowest rate and lowest payment options to show them what that would look like with a lender credit as well.
Love it. We didn't think about it before the call, but it would have been neat to maybe even tailor this live, because remember, mortgage coaches, I mean, this is a live experience. How often do you do a kind of, you're finessing this live and you're changing it while you're talking to the client versus, you're having a conversation and you're going back and updating it? How do you roll when it comes to that?
Yeah, so open houses, I mean, that's my goal is to get one hot buyer at every single house, and build rapport with maybe 2 or 3 couples, 2 or 3 families, and walk away with one buyer that received a customized total cost analysis, and I connect with at a really high level, because we're going to turn them into buyers. We're going to add a lot of value to our realtors that, they just went to this open house thinking they were, let's be honest here, wasting their time possibly, because they're being told that they have to go to this open house or whatever the case may be, and now I turn this into a positive and now help them turn this into a buyer. So that's huge at open houses. As far as, I would say 95% of my interactions with edges are live presentations, and whenever we send the link over, I'll always include a link with my schedule on there as well, and you'd be surprised, it's pretty much always going to be the millennials that are going to be scheduling with me, because they are first-time home buyers. They don't know really what the numbers mean. We have a great video with Wally on there, cross-selling the realtor, which is really helpful and gives a good game plan. But sometimes, especially millennials like to have kind of the handheld through the process. They like to be really confident and know all the information. And remember, they're used to going on Zillow and typing in the purchase price for a house and what they think the interest rate is and getting a payment. So this is really useful information on there. So I would say, really 80% of the time when I'm doing a live presentation with a buyer on the phone, I'm going in and changing. Okay, I showed you 300,000 to 400,000. How does 400,000 make you feel? You said this during our high trust call. You said your goals were this, and your monthly payment max was this. This is a little bit outside of your range at 400,000. Would you make me feel more comfortable with 375? Would that be something that's better for you? Great. Let's make those changes. Did I explain that well? Does that kind of help, Dave?
Yeah, no doubt. And then you may or may not know about the new feature. Have you used where you log in, you click on the persona up here in the upper left-hand corner. I'm kind of going through this just so everybody knows how to do it. but have you used the new feature that we added a couple weeks ago where you can edit the TCA from your mobile phone?
Yes, it's fantastic.
How do you
And
like that?
huge. It's huge because what I was doing before is I would have to go and get my tablet or I have to go get my laptop. And MortgageCoach is such a great, powerful tool. I didn't have a problem with doing that. But what I found is, especially at nights and weekends, and we all know that we're always on call, being in the industry. So I would get a phone call, a frantic phone call from a realtor saying, hey, all your numbers are in for 350. You had a good conversation with them, but we really need to go at 370 on this specific house, and this buyer's really concerned. So I'd have to, ballpark the numbers on there, and for somebody that's really detail-oriented, they really want to see a complex breakdown, just like we can here, real clear in front of them with the TCA. So with the mobile app, what that allows me to do is I don't have to go and wait till I get to my car. I don't have to go home and pull up my computer on there. I can do it mobily, just on the phone, on the fly, and it's really, really easy to do.
Love it. And remember, folks, not only can you edit, click the edit button, you can create a TCA, and you can even, add a video. So click a button. If I wanted to grab something from my album, I could grab a video from my album, click camera, and boom, recording out of my Portland office. So, and Wally, I believe that is how you add the videos, right? I mean, you are kind of going through what I just went through. Shane will tailor it, get the TCA ready for the family and the agent, and then you're going to go in and add the video. Is that how you guys roll?
Well, it used to be Shane, but now he's been successful at reduplicating himself in CJ on our team. So CJ now manages the edge portion of our model, and CJ is the one that emails over the TCA, who the listing agent is, who the agent is, and a little bit about the buyer information. Then I go on there. Yes, that is 110% all I do. I just go in there and I make an edge video for the client, and then obviously you saw how cross-sell. It's very important that our referral partners, our clients, understand how lucky they are to work with our referral partners. And then I'll let CJ know that it's done with the video. Then he sends out the email to the borrower, and now CJ's leveraged the next and most recent graduate of TWU.
Awesome. So, just getting better as you go. So, Chris, I'm going to do one more strategy, and then if you have a question or something you want to focus on. So let's talk about this, why buy now, or cost of waiting, call it what you want. Let's talk about this strategy that you forwarded me, Shane. When are you doing this? How are you doing this? And then obviously, Wally, you added a video to this, so give it, Shane, you go first, and Wally, you walk us through what you do.
Yeah, so, and actually I'll start this off with a quick success story. I actually just had a weekly coaching and accountability call with a realtor referral partner that we work with, and she just got a lead because she posted this exact analysis on social media, and she got a message from somebody that she didn't know was looking for homes, and she sent them over our way. So we got a mutual buyer because of this total cost analysis, just literally about an hour and a half ago before this call. So super exciting stuff there. And basically the idea behind the cost of waiting analysis is, it's in the title, what would 1% increase in rates do to you? So we have a lot of people right now that we're anticipating, especially before the election, we're going to wait and see what happens after the election, see what happens in the market. And especially in Dallas, in the Dallas market over here, there is definitely a shortage of inventory, and you're seeing a lot of multiple offers on there. So that's the biggest objection that I'm receiving right now with people getting them, in the game and in the home search, is that they're afraid and worried, what's going to happen in the marketplace and they're not going to get a home. So the purpose of this presentation is to show them, we're real big on pain to pleasure. So this shows them the pain of waiting for, the next 1% increase in rates is not, that's in a year. That's very likely that could happen in a year. So this is showing what could happen in the next year if they say, I'm going to sign a 12-month lease and see what happens. Then this is to show them the pain of that, so I can then circle back to the pleasure of what that would look like today, what your goals are, and then we can get into a more specific goal-oriented conversation for the TCA.
So I just want to, I mean, I get success stories on this strategy every day of the week. And I see a lot of, versions of this move up analysis or this why buy now, cost awaiting. And I would just tell you this is one of the most powerful strategies because one, some of the stories I'm hearing right now is where mortgage coach professionals are creating this move up analysis. They're partnering with agents, and it's creating new move-up buyers. And let's think about it. If you helped an agent go into their past customer database and inspire a family to move up, one, the agent got a listing, and two, the agent got a buyer, and three, the family got more lifestyle, and with the total cost analysis based off of their assumptions and beliefs of the market, they're improving their, they're building wealth with real estate. I mean, everybody is winning. So I just can't emphasize enough, if you are a mortgage coach and you don't know how to do a cost weighting analysis, if you don't know how to do a move-up analysis, the Gaylord Hanson team, they have what they call a counter offer analysis, which is just kind of another spin on this where, a buyer is in the process of, buying a home, the seller counters, the buyer's like, oh, should I do it or should I not do it? Well, let's bring in a mortgage coach analysis to go, should you take this counter or not? What if you pass on it and market changes or you don't get this home and values go up and rates go up? So this is a cornerstone, no pun intended, a cornerstone strategy to being a successful mortgage coach in today's marketplace. So I just want to make sure if you don't know how to do this, like I said at the beginning of the call, we do training every day of the week. It's actually the whole move-up analysis is a theme for the month here at Mortgage Coach. And, come to our Thursday call, go to our YouTube channel and type in cost awaiting analysis. If you don't know how to do this, you better learn how to do this or you're losing loans, big loans. Wally, anything you want to add to this strategy before we move on?
No, I think, if I remember correctly, and Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say one of our referral partners is the one that reached out to us and said, hey, can you make a mortgage edge about X, Y, and Z? Or, hey, do you have any material about X, Y, and Z? And Shane and I just put our heads together and said, why don't we just make an edge about it? And so he put all this together on the edge. I just jumped on there and did my part with making the video, and we sent it out. And he talked about a referral partner that's got a lead earlier. That's a very small piece of the pie. Because one thing, we got 2 contracts in processing right now from other referral partners that actually got actual clients and sent out to their database that grew the business from it. So it's absolutely a win-win for everyone across the board. Love it.
So, last time I interviewed you, we did a bigger, we dissected your process with a little more detail. And remember, folks, go to our YouTube channel. Those interviews are there. But I want to pull a couple scripts out, and I'm actually going to call on both of you in a minute. So, one, I want to really nail, what do you say to the family before you give them the total cost analysis? This is a sample of an email that you gave me from a year ago. You guys have probably evolved it. Maybe it's even better or different now. So Shane, you go first since you're in the loop. I want to know some scripting. Assume I'm a buyer. What do you say before you forward the total cost analysis so that when they get the total cost analysis, they're excited to click on it. They're like, oh, I got my total cost analysis. What are you saying? If you wouldn't mind scripting that out in a minute or two.
Yeah, so just to kind of set the stage there, I mean, everybody kind of, freaked out whenever the CFPB came out and said that we have to provide a loan estimate before we can request loan documents, right? So yes, we do still stay compliant there. However, the CFPB doesn't say that we have to do a total cost analysis before we send their documents through for conditional approval, right? So that's really what we're doing. We're pulling the buyer through the entire process by hyping them up about the total cost analysis. So that's great. You've talked to another lender. Well, that's fantastic. Did they do a total cost analysis for you? Oh, no, they just gave you a good faith estimate. Oh, okay, well, that's great. Well, our total cost analysis is also going to have those things, monthly payment, interest rate, and cash to close on there, but it really goes into a lot more depth on there. It's going to be, first of all, it's focused to what your goals are. I'm going to focus that based off of a number of different strategies that we could do to help you. And also, it's even going to go into things like tax benefits and even show your net worth. Since you're staying in this home for potentially 10 years, I'll show you what that looks like in the next 10 years. Does that sound like something that might help you?
By the way, everybody, do you hear how simple that was? We're talking about a minute. We're talking about, you know, oh, did your loan officer give you a total cost analysis? Really lines up nicely with what Stover said a couple weeks ago. Oh, no? Oh, well, this is what I'm going to do. So, I mean, just a minute. And a minute of color before you forward the total cost analysis, and then when they get it, boom, it's got value. So Wally, script from you, you're explaining mortgage coach strategies to agents and, you know, financial advisors, and you're using it on the front end as a biz dev tool. Give us some scripting of, you know, you've got a mobile app, or you're telling a story or a strategy to an agent or partner. How does that sound? Give us a minute or two of, you know, why they're excited about it and how you would frame that.
Candidly, we just talk about going the extra mile. I mean, I just tell them, hey, there is no traffic jams in the extra mile, and a lot of loan officers will just simply tell you what your monthly payment is, what your interest rate, and what your closing costs are. I mean, most loan officers, like 99% of loan officer population out there, that's the max that they can go off. Unfortunately, just simply because they don't have a tool like the Mortgage Coach, and they need to, but they unfortunately not everyone does. And you know, at the end of the day, I just walk them through and say, hey, so I'm going to structure your options just like we talked about. Now, I'm going to set up. I'll definitely give you the principal, interest payments, taxes, and insurance, cash to close, all that fun stuff. However, I've been helping families for 18 years, so I want to think about 5, 7, 10 years down the road. How would you like to actually look at what your net worth calculator looks like, your equity position looks like? And I want to touch base with your CPA, so then I reach out to their CPA. But I want to touch base with the CPA so I can show them what the pro forma of the tax benefit is going to be on your personal tax returns, your refund amortized over 12 months. And so, I mean, there's a lot of major factors I go over, Dave, those are two major big nuggets of it, is the tax benefit and the net worth calculator 5 to 7 years down the road. So I just want to go, candidly, I just want to go the extra mile, bottom line.
I love it. So again, folks, super simple, 1 minute script. You know, I'm going to go the extra mile. I'm going to provide more than payment and, you know, cash to close. I'm going to talk about the client's goals and dreams. And let's face it, if you're talking to an agent, agents like families that buy homes, move up, and build wealth with real estate. And Wally and team help families do that. So, you know, we're in the home stretch here. I mean, it's been an awesome call. Hopefully we've inspired lots of you to, you know, build your team, whether it's with a millennial. I think, you know, it's just been a great team conversation. You know, Kristin, do you have any questions? And then I've got a couple of final questions. And Wally, I'm going to give you the last word like I did last time, you know, on what advice do you have in the last minute. But Kristin, your turn. Any place we should take this before we go into wrap up?
Yeah, just briefly, when talking about going the extra mile, are there other resources or technology tools or anything that you utilize in building up your rapport and helping guide your, especially first-time home buyers, through the process? I noticed you guys have some educational resources on your website that are awesome. Do you guys utilize that? And what does that kind of educational process look like in providing, you know, what kind of resources do you provide them, and what kind of conversations do you have in addition to providing resources through MortgageCoach?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great point. As a first-time home buyer, it can be very overwhelming. Where do I start? What's next? And you know, I always remind myself everybody's different. So some people just care, you know, what's the next step? What are the next 2 steps? And some people need to know every single detail before they get started, right? And put their feet in the water. So as a standard, because of that reason, as a standard for every single lead that we get from a realtor, we're predominantly referral-based. So every time we get a referral from a realtor, we reply with them with 2 things. It has a link to our website to fill out a questionnaire online, and it also has a PDF with a steps of the loan process on there to give them a clear game plan on what the buying process looks like. With a loan, when does that transition to a contract, and what happens until funding. So that's important to us because they have that. I can refer back to it during the call, and if I need to, I can hold their hand and walk them through that during the call. So that's a really big point on that. And then also, just going through on our high trust call and giving them clear sets of expectations on what that looks like on that end, and making sure that buyers constantly know what the next step in the process is.
Perfect. That's so good. Building that transparency and kind of holding their hand through the process, like you said before.
Love it. So we got a couple questions from the audience. Shane, how long does it take you to create a total cost analysis? If you wouldn't mind just, what's the time involved? Or, well, you're not doing it anymore, but, what is the time it takes your team to create one?
Oh, I'm still active on it, Dave. I promise I'll still use it. So Wally wasn't exaggerating. I remember the first time he brought me a edge to do with a second lien. I had to watch a bunch of YouTube videos to figure it out. And at first it did take me, about an hour and a half to do my first edge. And it was a little bit dense at first. However, it has a really small learning curve. And I mean, now it's to the point where, Wally talked about CJ. He's our most recent graduate from the TWU program. And we literally have races to see who can do it the fastest. And I think I still have the first place position. It's about 8 minutes to create a total cost analysis, run pricing, and get the email out to the borrower. So, but I mean, in all seriousness, it's we typically budget for about 10 to 15 minutes per cost analysis, and that's from start to finish with pricing ran through our pricing system and everything like that.
Love it. So folks, I have the question, would you forward a link? I have put links into the videos that I've mentioned throughout the call. So Wally's leadership interview from last year, how to create a mortgage coach video on your iPhone is in here. That's just like a 3-minute GIF Wally gave. The Darren Hardy interview, and I just added the link to Wally's cost of waiting analysis. So this call will close in about 4 minutes. Go ahead and grab those links. We'll also put those links in the description of the recording to this. So, I mean, you just have to ask yourself, is 5 to 10 minutes of preparing a presentation worth it for every family that you serve? And, everybody on this call, you've got to, first of all, I think you're probably already spending that much time or more. I know I was at a sales rally this week, and, when loan officers really looked at, oh, I'm printing out my good faith. Sometimes I have to print out multiple good faiths. They're spending a lot of time to do it. And so, hopefully a takeaway for everyone is every family deserves a total cost analysis, and your team deserves that you give a total cost analysis, or else you're wasting time, you're not being efficient, and you're not serving families at the highest level. So, Wally, we're in the last 3 minutes of the call. Any words of wisdom for the mortgage coach community as we wrap it up? This is your opportunity to give advice, lead the community, go any direction you want. What are some of your thoughts?
I appreciate it. No, I think, I've, I don't know if anybody caught it early, but I kind of started tearing up a little bit when I was kind of sharing, and I'm very proud of Shane, and I'm very proud of just kind of what kind of man he's become. And at the end of the day, I'm been very blessed to have him in my world, and our team is a better team because of him. And I think a lot of things has come down to just a loan officer's mindset. And people have come to me and said, "Where do you find Shane? How can I get a Shane?" And you don't really find Shanes on the corner. It's like they're not standing there and waiting for someone to pick them up. As somebody like Shane is grown, somebody like Shane is built. He's always had a great foundation, but he's the one that had the ambition and the drive, and he's the one that had the motivation to want more for his wife. And I got me tearing up, but I'm just very proud of our team.
No, and I mean, what it comes down to is just surrounding yourself by somebody that you have to have the grit. Both people have to have the grit and push through, and just have someone to give you the opportunity and pour into you, just as the team has poured into me and Wally has poured into me. So take the plunge, take that next step. Hire us millennials. I promise we're not all that bad, and and just start growing your business and take it to the next level.
Well, I mean, to me, the big takeaway on this call, and when I prepared for it, This is now the third time I've interviewed you, Wally, and I think it comes down to you care, man. You care so deep for the people you serve, for the people that are on your team. You execute well. You have high standards. But I think, everybody, hopefully you walk away from this call and go, how much do I really care about serving my families that I do loans for, serving the team that I represent, and then, by the way, ask one more question. Do you think they know how much you care? I mean, it's pretty obvious that, Wally's team knows how much he cares. I've talked to other people on his team, talked to Shane. So, let's just walk away from this and audit ourselves. I'm going to do that. That's going to be one of my takeaways. Hey, Kristin, any last words of wisdom before we call this a wrap?
No, just bringing it full circle. You can see how important transparency is versus being, honest, where you say, just ask me and I'll tell you. And in today's call, we saw how important it is to put information out there and really build your team, curate what you want from giving that information and transparency to customers and your employees.
Yeah, and again, make the total cost analysis a team standard. Make it happen. If you're the leader of the team, it's your responsibility. And if you don't have a team, you're still the leader of yourself. So make MortgageCoach a team requirement. I am going to push a survey. We'd love to know what you thought of today's call. Please answer this question as you leave. If you're a guest on this call and you want to learn more about MortgageCoach, click the demo option. Say, I want to learn more. And with that said, this call is a wrap. Have an awesome week, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Kristin.